Okay, so you know how we always dive into your fascinating source material, and sometimes it's like we're in an alternate reality? Well, this time we're talking about an executive order. But President Trump, pretty standard stuff, right, for a president.
Right.
But the details on this one are, well, surprising, to say the least.
Really?
Yeah, it turns out that Elon Musk was right there with him in the Oval Office for the signing, not as a guest, but
No way.
as the head of something called the Department of Government Efficiency.
Wow. That's interesting. You really have to wonder what that's all about.
Yeah, the Department of Government Efficiency, a brand new entity, apparently. And they seem to be focused on only one thing:
Okay, I'm listening. What's that?
shrinking the federal government. That's it.
Huh.
And that's where this executive order comes in. It calls for, quote, large-scale reductions in force.
Whoa. Large-scale reductions in force? Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, when I first read that, I have to admit, I pictured, like, mass layoffs, buildings being shuttered.
Oh, wow.
It sounds pretty drastic, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, on the surface at least.
Right.
But the thing is, this executive order doesn't specify exactly how these reductions are going to be achieved, But what we do know is that Musk's department has been pretty active already.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, they've been going through various departments, cutting costs, they've been restructuring programs. It's like they've been laying the groundwork for this executive order for a while now.
So what might, quote, workforce optimization, as they're calling it, what might that look like in practice?
Okay, so imagine, like, the DMD.
Right. Like,
Applying Musk's principles there. Okay, so you might see online appointment scheduling instead of those crazy long lines.
oh, that would be nice.
Or, like, maybe a streamlined process for license renewals, all accessible through some super user-friendly app. Right.
That makes sense.
Essentially, the focus could be on, using technology, process improvements, all that stuff to basically do more with less.
So maybe not as apocalyptic as my initial vision of, like, mass firings and stuff.
Right, exactly.
But even if it is more about streamlining rather than just straight up layoffs, there are going to be some job losses, right?
Yeah, potentially. But the idea behind this whole workforce optimization thing isn't just about cutting jobs.
Okay.
It's about figuring out where the skills gaps are and then offering retraining programs so people can, fill newly created roles in a more efficient system.
I see.
Think of it like a company that's restructuring to adapt to new market conditions. It's going to be disruptive, for sure, but the goal is to make it more competitive and effective.
Makes sense. So this kind of begs another question.
Yeah.
Why now? Why is this happening now? What's kind of the driving force behind this push to, like, shrink the government?
It's probably a few things. Like, we know that there's a lot of concern about the national debt, right?
Right.
And streamlining government operations could save a ton of money.
Right.
But there's also, like, a philosophical argument going on, too.
Oh, okay.
Some people just think that a smaller, less hands-on type of government is just more efficient, less bureaucracy. It's just better.
Right.
That's what they think.
Yeah, and that's actually, we see that reflected in some of your sources.
Exactly.
I mean, there have to be concerns about shrinking the government too, right? I mean, it can't all be good.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
While there are some potential upsides, like we talked about with efficiency and saving money, there are definitely some potential downsides as well.
Okay, like what?
Well, some people are saying that this could end up really disproportionately affecting certain groups, like vulnerable populations who need social safety net programs.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and then there's the impact on all the government employees. Like,
Right.
even with retraining, so these people could lose their jobs,
So how do we weigh these potential benefits and drawbacks? What does it mean for the average person?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
the truth is, it's way too early to say what's going to happen long-term because of this executive order, right?
Right.
It's all going to depend on the specifics of how they do it and how different departments adapt to all these changes.
It seems like we're in for quite a ride.
Yeah.
I mean, this executive order, this is just the first step, it seems like, in what could be a huge transformation of the entire federal government.
Totally.
And with Elon Musk, like, heading this up,
Yeah.
let's just say I think things are going to get more unpredictable.
Yeah, that's one word for it. It really does raise a lot of questions, like what would you do if you were in charge of optimizing the government? Would you just like go all in on efficiency, or would you, try to make sure that citizens and employees weren't negatively impacted?
That's a really great question, and it's definitely something we should all be thinking about as we watch this whole thing play out.
Definitely.
Because one thing's for sure, this is just the beginning, so keep your eyes peeled, because we have a feeling things are about to get very, very interesting.
I'm sure they are.
All right, that's it for today's deep dive. Until next time.
See ya. Play AEC4.